Goal setting is something we're taught in school. But what if it could be the key to unlocking the things we want most out of life? Kylee Robinson, executive coach and efficiency enthusiast, breaks down what goal setting actually is and how we can use it to uplevel our lives, one step at a time. Make sure to rate and review this podcast and share it with your fellow boss babes. Enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome to the Crystal Vision podcast, where we dive deep into the strategies and energetics of business, money, and mindset mastery so as to create the next generation of wildly wealthy women. My name is Olivia Clare and I'm a serial entrepreneur who is obsessed with giving you all of the tools that you need to create your crystal clear vision of success. Each week, you will hone in on your unique zone of genius and embody the highest version of yourself to reverse engineer your way to your dream life. If you're ready to let go of the hustle and effortlessly call in more money, more growth, and more fulfillment, stay tuned. Hi, Kylee. Welcome to the Crystal Vision podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, anytime. I am so keen to jump in. So you are an executive coach that specializes in goal setting. Now, I had goals for the year and they've since disappeared. So I feel like I'm going to hear everything that I need to on this episode. So let's just start with what is goal setting? If an alien landed, what is it? And why is it important? Because I feel like we hear a lot about it at school and we think, oh, that's something that sort of helps in a certain area, but it's not really realistic in everyday life. So why is it important for us to continue to do goal setting?
Great questions. Okay, so goal setting is essentially, I want this, here's how I'm going to get there.
Love.
That's it. It's just, what is my target? What am I aiming for? And then what is my plan to get there? Because, you can say, man, I want this. Cool. That means nothing unless you start doing work to get there and know that the actions and steps that you're taking are going to take you where you want to go.
Yeah.
So really that's like to an alien, like you said, that's just what goal setting is. And a lot of times what I see is that people know how to do goal setting when it comes to school or work or corporate jobs or your business. But goal setting is so important to every facet of your lives, and we're multifaceted people. You've got your physical and your spiritual and your mental and your relationships and your personal life and all these things. Goal setting matters to all of those areas. And a lot of people don't realize, or they, the professor said, you need to do X, Y, and Z by the end of the semester. So therefore, you know what your goals are because someone else told you. Or, your boss tells you, you need to do these things. These are your expectations. So that's how most people learn how to set goals. And I've had people tell me, I didn't realize I should be setting those in my personal life as well. And how do I set a goal around relationships? Or, a lot of physical or health goals are simply, I need to drink more water. I need to work out more. And that's a resolution. That's not really a goal. Like, okay, great. What's the plan to get there then? Or how am I going to build this relationship? Or how am I going to build this business? And what is that going to look like? So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what goal setting is and where we need it. It needs to be in every facet of our lives.
That's powerful. And I love that you made that sound really simple. Like, it's like, if we want something, the how, the way of getting there, that's where goal setting comes in. That's why it's important. So thank you for making that so clear cut for us. The question that I had written down is there one right way to set goals? And I can probably guess that there's not, and that it differs from person to person. Can you talk us through maybe how we know what might be the right way for us personally to set goals for ourselves?
Yeah, it really depends on what kind of goals you're setting. There's two kind of main types of goals. And so you've got habit goals and milestone goals. So let's go financial. If you had a habit goal, that might be, I want to save so many dollars per month into a retirement account. Or into my savings account. That might be a habit goal you want to set, and this is going to be what you do for the next 40, 50 years. Now, a milestone goal financially might be, I want to get out of debt by 24 months from now.
Yeah.
So you've got those two different kinds. So it's really a matter of what are you going after? And then really what the The difference comes into play is in who you are as a person. So that's something that I realized a lot of people don't take into account. What is my personality? What are my values? What's my schedule look like? What's my sleep cycle look like?
Yes.
What season of life am I in? Because a lot of times what we do is we set a goal and then we assume that we're a robot and we're going to do everything perfect. And then when we don't, we're like, well, screw it all. I'm a failure. I'm just a loser. I can't do it. And we don't give ourselves the grace we need to say, it's okay. Maybe I need to adjust something. Maybe I just screwed up for one day. What do I need to do to press on, to move forward? Maybe it wasn't the right goal for you right then, and that's okay. Maybe the schedule you set for yourself to achieve that goal wasn't right. Maybe it wasn't right for your season of life. Maybe it's a really good and important thing, but the season you're in doesn't allow for it. Or maybe you had to pivot because something else came up that's more important. All of that is okay. Yeah. It's a matter of recognizing those things and going, oh, shoot, now what? And give yourself that grace and then move forward. So really, the biggest thing with setting goals is knowing what your vision is for your future, for your life. I will say there is one right way to set goals, and that's reverse engineering. You start with that vision. What can I do this year to get to that vision? What can I do this month to get to that vision? What can I do this week and now today? Like, we back it all the way up. That is the one right way. But then all these other factors come into play, of who you are and all those things I just mentioned. And then you might have to pivot sometimes, and that's okay. Yeah. And give yourself that grace.
I love it. Okay. Can you give us some tactical tips of some ways that you've found have worked for goal setting? So maybe like writing it down or using a habit tracker or like a vision board. I'm just trying to think about like all the different ways that we can set goals, because I feel like there's a million of them.
So many things, so many. So I'll give you a personal story here. My husband and I got married almost 11 years ago, and we had no money, shoestring, like trying to make things work. And we had a big vision for our life. We knew where we wanted to go. And we had all these goals. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is not working. Just writing it down. Writing it down is incredibly important. But if you put it in a notebook and you put it in a drawer and you lose it for 6 months, it's not doing its job. Yeah. So I decided we need a whiteboard and we need to put it in our living room. Now, we had no money. So we couldn't just like go to Staples and buy a whiteboard at the time. Like, we needed that for food.
Yeah.
So we started hitting some garage sales, and we found a garage sale and there was a whiteboard. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And I was like, okay, how much for the whiteboard? Well, I didn't even read what was on the whiteboard. It was the price list for the garage sale. It was not for sale.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
The guy looked at me. He's like, it's not for sale. I was like, oh no. He goes, just take it. 25 cents.
Oh, wow. There you go.
So 11 years later, that is a whiteboard downstairs in my living room right now. You've got to have your goals in front of you. Yeah. We broke this down and said, on the whiteboard, here's our long-term vision. Here's what we want to do this year, in 2023. Here's what we need to do this month. That's how it's all broken up on the whiteboard, and we keep it in front of us on a regular basis, because when you do that, you enable your mind to be constantly thinking about it and revisiting it, and it penetrates your subconscious so that, we're watching TV and we hit pause for whatever, and I go, hey, I was thinking about this item on here. What do you think about? And it allows us to keep the conversation going regularly instead of just, hey, every 6 months we should reevaluate our goals and see where we are in them.
Yeah.
They've got to be in front of you.
Powerful.
So that's one thing. You've got to start with the vision. I highly, highly recommend a vision board, but you've got to do a vision board right. I find that most vision boards become shopping lists.
Yeah, I see that.
That's not what they're meant to be.
There's a Louis Vuitton handbag on there, isn't there?
And here's the thing, that's okay. But the vision board needs to be, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? And what do I want to have in that order?
Okay.
So you can.
Yeah. I like the order is important, isn't it?
Yeah. Because these things you want to have, you have to be a kind of person to have those. And that's got to come first. So what are those characteristics that you need to install in your life? Who are some people that emulate those things? Like get those people's faces up on that vision board so that when you see that face, you go, that person's courageous and I want that in my life. How can I do that today? That order is incredibly important. So keeping it in front of you, definitely having a vision. If you have a habit goal, you've got to have a habit tracker of some kind, whether that's an app you've downloaded or personally, I'm a paper gal. I want pen and paper. I need to cross that box off. But find something that's going to work for you. One thing I saw one time, and I've put this actually into practice in different areas, was this weight loss tracker was 2 jars, and one had the number of marbles per pound someone wanted to lose. And every time they lost a pound, they got to move the marble into the empty jar.
That's cool.
Yeah. So they tracked it that way and they got to see this jar dwindle. So there's lots of different ways to do that. And it's a matter of just finding something that you're excited about, that you get to do, that you want to cross off or check off or record in some way.
Yeah. I think there's plenty for people to sort of work with from what we spoke about. I think knowing because as people, sometimes we can be more visual, sometimes we might be more tactile or more thought-based. And so if you know that you get really excited and you love working with your hands, maybe being able to physically see progress is important. If you're very type A, you might have, a habit tracker spreadsheet like I do, where it's all lined up and very neat and there's color coding. So I think really tuning into what you want and knowing how many different options there are. If you're super visual, that Pinterest board is going to be everything to you. I also have one of those that I love to look through. So there's so many different ways and there's nothing stopping you from going out right now and getting started with your habits and goal setting. I'm curious, Kylee, how do you speak about goals to people who prefer to be more flowy in life and business and feel like goal setting might restrict them?
Going back to tracking, I had a gal in a class recently and she said, she's like, but tracking makes it not fun anymore. If I have to track it, it's not exciting and I want to just quit on it.
Yeah.
And if I have to have it in front of me, then it feels like a job and I don't want to do it. I was like, that's okay, great. Let's work with that. And so just like you said, there's all these different ways to do this. What's going to work for you? And so she placed different things throughout her house that just were little reminders for her to do things. And she drew pictures and made it creative for her. So it's really just a matter, again, going back to who are you? What's going to bring you alive? What's going to keep you excited about this? And people don't come to me because they're like, dang it, goals.
Yeah.
It's more, what do you want that you don't have right now? My job, I want to simplify the things you have to do so you can do more of what you want in your life. Let's create a life that you want to live, that you are proud of, despite what anyone else says. What are the things that you want out of this one life you've got? And so if that's to speak another language, if that's to win a bodybuilding competition, if that's to move across the world, if that's to run your own business, whatever it's going to be, it might just, and I don't mean just, it might be to be a great parent. We can set a goal around that because you don't just get to think that into existence.
Yeah. Yes, this is so important.
Yeah, I had a client who that was exactly it. He's like, "Oh, well, I want to be a great dad." I said, "That's awesome. That's a resolution. That's a vision that you just set there. Now let's dig into that." And that was the power of having myself as his coach, because then I said, "Okay, what is a great dad to you?" And he could start saying, he's, explained what his picture of a great dad was. I say, okay, so what are some steps that you can take to reach that picture, that image that you have in your mind? And it was so simple. When we really dug into those couple of questions, what our conclusion is he wanted to have one yes day with his son that quarter and read one parenting book.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's it. Those were the things that were going to make him a better father to his son. And so, it's like if you say, I want to get married one day. Great. You can't just think that's going to happen and stay in your house forever and assume Mr. Right's going to end up on your doorstep. Okay, how many dating apps are you going to have? How many blind dates will you go on? How many people will you reach out to on a week? Like those are all things that you can control, that you can set goals around to just get yourself out there, because sitting in your house is not going to do it.
Yeah. And the type of person that you want to be as well, like that comes into it too. If you're not going to find, say you're like really like fishing, go fishing. And you might meet someone while you're fishing. You know what I mean? It's like you're not going to meet them if you're, going rock climbing instead. So you have to be who you have. It's like a weird example, but it's exactly what you said. It applies the whole concept of like being that person, being a better dad, being a good partner, being a successful business owner. Like the identity piece is so important first. And then backtracking, and it applies to literally everything. Like you could pick anything and it always comes back to who you're being, and then you know what you need to do in order to get there. Oftentimes we know what we need to do, we just don't want to, and we just want to avoid it and pretend like it will just magically happen.
Yeah, we put a lot of stock in what our like brain can do to like manifest something. Like you've got to go do some work too.
Yeah. We got to get out there.
I had one client who they moved to a completely different part of the country, and she's like, man, we just really don't have any friends yet. I was like, cool, what are you doing to get out there? And she's like, well, nothing. Okay. So you know what? I said, what do you like? She started walking dogs at the shelter because she loves elderly dogs.
Yeah.
And her and her husband love board games, and they found a board game store like 40 minutes from where they lived, and they had a board game night once a week. And they just went and started playing games with people. And then I said, okay, now invite those people to dinner. She was like, what? Do you want friends?
Yeah.
Just invite someone to dinner once a month. She was like, oh, okay. And that's how they started to build their community around them. You can set goals around anything. It's just a matter of first saying, what is it that I want? Now, how do I get there?
Yeah. And I think it's important to set goals, or like, I love how you said that right at the beginning. Goal setting is so much more than just our productivity, how much we can get done. It's really about who we want to be and the steps that we need to take in order to get there. I will also say, I'm sure you can hear it, and we might have to put this at the beginning of the episode, but I'm babysitting a French bulldog, and it just it's sleeping right next to me, won't stop snoring. And I keep like trying to shake it awake, and it just gets louder. So if you hear that in the background, it's a dog having a good snooze right at the very moment that I'm recording.
It's not your stomach.
No, it's not someone on the lounge snoring. It's literally a dog, and he's like has to sit right next to me. I'm in a huge house, and we're on a property. Like he could be outside, but he wants to sit next to me and snore. He wants his little take in the episode. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's so great.
What is your take on planners? Now, this is coming from, I actually used to be, I'm less so now, I'm sure it's just an anxiety thing. In high school, I had two planners. I had my school planner, and I had my personal life planner. Now, what a 15-year-old has to plan in her personal life is beyond me. But I'm so curious to hear, like, how can we use planners better? Are they effective for everyone? Yeah, like, what should we do with them?
Yes, they are effective for everyone. Everyone should know what their schedule is and not be winging it. However, find what works for you. There is going to be something different for everyone. I've had a paper planner forever. For the first 3 years of my marriage, my husband tried to get me on digital, and he finally gave up because I can't do it. I can't do it. I won't do it. It doesn't work for me. And you know what? I've had friends whose calendars have magically disappeared before because they were digital. And somehow my paper planner has never gotten lost. So I'm sold on my paper. Now, like I said, whatever is going to work for you. I don't recommend having two unless you are very, very structured in like, I work 9 to 5. This is never interrupted. This is my work schedule. And you need that something separate for yourself and your family. That's the only time I would say separate those two things if you need to for just work appointments. But then you do run into those situations where it's like, oh, what if I miss a soccer game because it wasn't on this calendar? It was only on the personal one, or a dentist appointment, or whatever it might be. So just if you're going to have two, you've got to be very, very careful about integrating where you need to. But really the question here is, what does your schedule look like? And are you using it effectively? I recommend planning time once a week before the week starts.
Yeah.
So for some people, that is going to be 2 hours on a Friday. Some people, that's going to be an hour on Sunday. Some people, that's going to be, I'm going to, start work at 6 a.m. on Monday so that I can plan my week out.
Yeah.
Whatever it is for you, it should be consistent. And that's when you're doing it every week so that you go into the week ready to just execute what you've already planned out. And you're not going, shoot, what should be happening right now?
Yeah.
I'm home with my son.
Mhm.
I am homeschooling and I am running a business. There's a lot of juggling here. Yes. And so I have to be very specific on, okay, what are we accomplishing during homeschooling this week in those couple of hours that we do that? What are we doing to get the little boy energy out first thing in the morning? And because my hours are so specific for work, I've got to know before the week begins exactly what I'm accomplishing in those hours. And if I somehow pop up with some extra free time to work, what's going to happen in there? What are my bonus hours going to go to? Because otherwise what happens is I get a free hour because Grammy decided to take him for a walk that day or something. And I'm like, and I freak out and go, oh no, there's so many things I could be doing right now. What am I going to do? And the hour gets wasted as I just like spin in circles checking emails.
Yeah. Or I have that too. You have like the 30 minutes and you're like, I guess now's the time that I should be on TikTok. And it's like, no, we can use this more effectively.
The heavens opened for Instagram for 30 whole
literally.
minutes. Yeah. So you've got to know, okay, what am I going to accomplish this week in what hours, and have that plan. And then if I get more time, what are my top 3 priorities that'll happen there? So however you want to do it, whether it's going to be a paper calendar, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, whether you've got, Google Calendar or any of these things, have scheduled planning time at the beginning of your week. Know what your top priorities are and where you're going to put those. That's really the crux of all of it. And when it comes to having a schedule or a planner, my number one suggestion is do a time awareness log for a couple of weeks and find out what's actually happening. Because what I've found is that so many people feel all this overwhelm and they're so stressed out about everything going on. And then I make them log their time every hour on the hour for 3 weeks. And they go, oh, I waste a lot of time, or I didn't realize X. And where I have actual time to work out and I've been making the excuse for years that I don't, whatever it might be, or I watch 4 hours of TV a night and I was never willing to admit that to myself. So, everyone has their thing, but just personally, I do this once a year just because it's good to see it again, to recognize what's happening, whether that gives yourself a pat on the back or whether you go, oh shoot, we need to like reevaluate this again. Just doing this every so often is so valuable for just evaluating what's happening right now and in this season of life, because your seasons change all the time. Where's my time going? How can I use it more effectively?
Yes. And I've tried to do time logging in the past and I hated it. Like I was so uncomfortable because I was like, I could not even face what I was doing and how I was spending my time. So if that's you, it's an opportunity to really lean into it because you can make some drastic changes by not having to actually change that much. Like it's like this moving the needle a tiny bit and it will make a massive difference. Like if you can be 10% more productive, you can probably be 100% more profitable. Like little things like that, it makes a huge difference. So yeah, I'm going to have to do that. I'll do a productivity log, even though it hurts. It hurts, right?
Oh, I warn people. I'm like, this will not be fun.
No.
I promise. It's gonna hurt. And you know what I find is that the first week is usually beautiful because they're like, here, Kylee, it's so pretty. I did everything just right. And then the next week, everything goes to hell. And the third week is like, okay, here's our reality.
We'll get
now we see like
normal.
what it really looks like.
Yeah, that's smart. That's good. Because I feel like the first week I could trick myself for like a day. I'm productive for the day. And then the next day I'm like, well, who are we kidding right now?
Yes. And that's because you're human and it's okay. It won't always be perfect.
I love that. Okay. You are a self-proclaimed efficiency enthusiast. So I have to know, what is your number one efficiency tip?
Oh my gosh, what a question. I really think it's really just awareness of, if I'm going to walk into this room, what else needs to be done there that I can walk out of it and take with me to whatever the next thing is that's happening. And also being super aware of your time, because that's really what it comes down to. The reason efficiency is so important to me is because there's a lot of things I have to do that I don't want to do. Like I said, my job that I want to help other people with, because it's so important to me, is to simplify what we have to do in order to do more of what we want. That's why that's so important to me, because I don't want the dishwasher to take me 10 minutes. Can I do it in 2 while my tea heats up? Let's challenge myself in that.
Yes.
Things like that, just thinking through that has made me more efficient. I've gone, oh, I don't have time to empty the dishwasher right now. And one day I was like, you know what? I've got 2 minutes until this heats up. I wonder how much of it I can empty in that time. Sure enough, I can empty the whole dang dishwasher in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, in my head, that took so much longer. What else is there? Okay, I think I'm going to say my number one is just start timing things. Timing things and see how long they take you, or see if you can get them done in a certain amount of time. I forget whose law it is out there that says, whatever time you give a certain task, that's how long it's going to take. So if you say,
I was going to ask your opinion on that. I think it's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you start setting a timer and saying, well, I've got 30 minutes to do X, to work on this project or design this resource or whatever, then you'll be amazed in what you can get done in that time when you just hunker down and set a timer on yourself that something is going to beep at you in 30 minutes, and not just look at the clock. I'm going to go with that one. That's my number one, is just start timing things.
I like that. Yeah. And knowing like, wow, that took me not as long as I expected, or whoa, that took me way longer than I expected. It just helps you to sort of map out those little things. Yeah, I can be a bit funny with things like that. Like if I see someone that's in the kitchen and there's like dishes, but they're like waiting for something to heat up, I'm like, why are you not moving right now? Like, why are you just standing and waiting? And then it's like, well, we can calm down about that. But I totally get what you mean. It's like, the more that we can get done, the better, because then we get to do more of the things we love, which is so important. Okay. I want to know, what are you currently passionate about in life and in business?
Well, I am very passionate about my business, and I've got a 7-step course that I take people through to, on the goal setting piece. And it's all those things of creating your vision, reverse engineering your goals, but then also bringing the humanity into that of, do we need to, realign things? Who are you and that personality? What are your values? Really uncovering what those things are. So I absolutely love walking people through that, either in a small group or one-on-one, and to see the light bulbs go off for the processes to get into their life and for them to achieve these things that they haven't been able to before, whatever that might be to the individual. So that's my passion in business. In life, so outside of business, as an entrepreneur, it penetrates everything. You're always thinking about business.
Of course. Yeah, I feel that.
In life, I'm really loving the season that I'm in, to be able to juggle all the things. It's a lot, to be home with my son and be his primary caregiver, and to be homeschooling him and be working. Thank God for my husband that I'm able to do all of that too. But I'm loving this season to be able to be with him all the time and watch him learn and grow and be able to cater to what his passions are right now.
Oh, I love it. Okay. What is your last question? What is your crystal vision for the future? So without revealing too much, what is it that you're working towards now, so that we can look back in a few years and say, yeah, she manifested it all?
I want complete and total freedom. And we're pretty dang close to that. But financial freedom, I don't want to answer to anybody. And I want to work my husband out of his corporate job. So
I like that.
Those are the kind of things that we're working towards. Is I don't want to owe anyone anything. I don't want to report to anyone on anything. And we can just live our lives. We don't want to go off grid. I don't mean it like that, but just nobody is over us.
Yeah. Freedom. I mean, it's hard to get that nowadays. Like, so I understand. It's a beautiful concept. And, you know, if it's on the whiteboard, then it's only a matter of time.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
We got the vision board. We got the whiteboard. It's all there.
I love it. Okay. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest or anything I didn't ask you?
I think so. You hit it all.
Yay. We did it. Well, tell us, where can people find you so they can work with you, so they can get their goals sorted, start working towards spending more time on things that they truly love, hang out with you, or give us all the links and we'll pop it in the show notes.
Perfect. Instagram is my main jam, Kylee_N_Robinson. I'll get that link to you. And then I've got a freebie for your audience at KylieRobinson.com/free. And that is just a free PDF, and it's 5 steps to stop procrastinating and break down your goals. So it's really that first step of, okay, let's just dig in and hit something right now and move that needle just a little bit.
Yes. Oh, okay. I'm going to go download it after this episode. I always get so inspired when I talk with guests, and yeah, I'm ready to track my time. Maybe.
Get it, girl. You got it.
We can do it. Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time out to hang out with us and talk all things goals and business. And it was such a juicy conversation. So I'm so grateful to have had you on.
Thank you so much. It was my privilege.
Okay, thanks everyone for listening. See you in the next episode.